it's a great show. If you like Star Wars, it's very cool.
Even if you don't like Star Wars,
Yeah.
it's very good. I know people who are not Star Wars people who were like, yeah, that was like so well written and so well acted and just loved it. Last week, I specifically said those two hooked up, and I was told they didn't hook up, they just kissed. And I said, we didn't see what happened after it yet.
And in fact, they don't know that they hooked up either.
I knew, and they know
and then they did.
And then they did
hook up.
Yeah, this episode was titled Denial, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I was screaming during
And the episode is full of denials. Welcome back to the break room from Sci-Fi to Thailand. We're back to discuss some headlines and episode 6 of the White Lotus, Denials. It's headlines, baby! Hit that graphic.
Look at that.
I'm Brandon Barrick, and joining me today...
Read it, Brandon.
No, I refuse. I refuse to be Zach Huddleston. I'm Brandon Barrick, and joining me today, we got Zach Huddleston.
Read it. Goddamn, it says I'm Brandon Barrick. Hey, thrilled to be back. I've been gone for a minute.
Yeah, we're glad to have you back. We also have Gina Ippolito, who won't go away.
I live here now. I live in merch shirts under the desk.
It's true. Gina is rocking one of our hot new Lumen t-shirts.
Ask
Look at
me
that.
about my Lumen.
If you enjoyed Severance, we got Lumen shirts. We got Lumen mugs.
Yeah, we're all wearing merch shirts.
Yeah. I went for the
Star
old
Wars.
droid Star
Well,
Wars.
we're covering some Andor today, so we got it all covered.
And we are talking about Alien Earth. And John Bernthal's kind of an alien, so then, boom, there you go.
That's true.
Who's it in red? Later in the episode today, we'll have Zach leave, and John Costa will jump in. So stick around for that, please.
Or if you're watching this later, go ahead and jump to that time.
Yeah, if you check down below, see when John hops in. We'll have our White Lotus discussion. So if you're here for only the White Lotus part of the show, feel free to skip around with the chapters below. Chances are you'll like the other shows we're talking about, though, because there's going to be some A-plus content coming out very soon. Now that Severance is over, we need some more sci-fi to fill our appetite. And with Andor Season 2 and Alien Earth on the horizon, it's very possible this will be some delicious eatings.
I hope so. I'm sad that Severance is over, so I need something. I need something to fill the void in my life.
Well, how about something to fill the void in your chest? That's right. Let's talk about Alien Earth. We got a hot new clip. I was talking about a xenomorph, Evan. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, he was appreciative.
He looks surprised. He looks shocked.
There's a hole in the chest. I was like, I get it.
Oh, okay. Cut that out, Brian.
Evan approved.
They put out a new clip for Alien Earth. Let's check it out and see what it's all about.
Oh,
The sound of it.
classic alien computer.
Yeah.
Why are they so gooey all the time?
Yeah. This summer. Give us a date already.
Yeah, cowards.
Come on.
Yeah,
I mean, that looks good.
that does
I'm
look
very hyped for this show. I wasn't sure what to think when they announced it, but this looks fun.
Also, Alien always crushes these trailers. Like this, as a franchise, the trailers are always.
I mean, that was the debut of In Space, No One Can Hear You Scream.
Yes,
Right,
yes,
right,
and even
right.
Alien Romulus, I was like, oh god, this is gonna be the best movie ever made.
Yeah, this show has a lot going for it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first we should back up. So this was the showrunner of this was Noah Hawley.
Yeah.
Most notably has done every season of the Fargo show.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Also, if you're a Legion head,
Yes.
and if you're not, go back and watch Legion. It's so good.
Did he write every episode of Legion?
I don't know every episode.
He often writes a lot of his own episodes and directs a lot of his own episodes.
Yeah, he maybe he was the showrunner on Legion, but he definitely had a large hand in
Yes.
Legion.
And he's a frequent, creator on the FX platform. Of
Yeah.
course, Fox and FX owned by Disney, so there's some Hulu, Disney Plus. The show is going to be on both Hulu and Disney Plus,
Right,
we
which
think.
they've started doing now. If you have both services, you'll see
Right,
them
because
on
most people have that tier, right?
Yeah.
Like most people have because why would you play for them both separately?
Get that bundle.
Yeah, bundle it.
Which Brandon already made the joke. You can go right from Moana to.
Yeah, just let her autoplay. Don't let those kids grow up a little bit. You know what I mean? Let them stumble into a little Alien Earth.
We don't have a release date for the series yet, though it's summer 2025, so who knows, maybe June. But a little bit about the show. We don't know much plot-wise.
No.
We know it is set on Earth. In the
Yeah.
title. And as that clip shows, so it's going to start not on Earth, or at some point
Yeah.
people will
The
not
ship
be on
is
Earth.
crashing into
The
Earth.
ship will
Yeah.
crash, and the aliens will be there, will be released on Earth. And it is set in the timeline of Alien. It is set before the events of the 1979 original Sigourney Weaver show, but after the events of Alien Prometheus and Alien Covenant.
Yeah.
So it's like they're how far away are they from Sigourney Weavering?
I think it was like only a few years. It's pretty close to that timeline.
Yeah, it's 2 years before the first.
I mean, they gotta kill these aliens. Get them off our Earth.
Well, and the showrunners talked about like kind of the exciting thing about this show is that like we often see the aliens in like confined spaces on ships or like on a base or something like that. This is like kind of mixing Alien and Predator in that like it's gonna be maybe aliens creeping around the woods or something like that.
Or they're gonna be in the city. Maybe they're gonna be riding a roller coaster.
They could be on a bird scooter or something like that.
I would love to see
Trying to use a QR code to order at a fast casual restaurant.
Yeah.
It's not working on my phone.
I'm paying with Klarna.
What is Zelle?
But otherwise, we don't know anything about this other than we were speculating the gentleman in that clip.
Right.
Whether he is a synthetic or not.
He's got to be a synthetic.
He's certainly behaving in very cold, calculating synthetic
I think he's
ways.
kind of like humming to himself too.
But also, like he's clearly in contact with Weyland-Yutani, and they're usually the ones who send the synthetics to be like, don't worry if all the humans die, just get us our samples.
Or at least Mother, right? Mother is like the AI that kind of runs the ship.
Yeah.
And in the first movie, that's kind of like who's telling Ash like what to do to get the specimen back.
Right.
I'm gonna be really interested. You know, one thing they did really well in Alien Romulus is go back to the first film's like aesthetic.
Yes.
The Reeboks and the like dingy late 70s, early 80s retro futurism.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I can't wait to see like what do the cities look like?
Yeah.
You know, what does other technology look like if they're moving around Earth?
Yeah, because it's not present day Earth. It's not any Earth that we have seen in our lifetime.
It's 2150 or something like that.
So who knows? Maybe there aren't even that many humans left.
I think there's a moment in either Prometheus or Covenant when you maybe see a little bit of Earth, or it takes place in like an office or something. But like we rarely have seen any of Earth in these series.
Alien versus Predator is the.
Those ones are.
And those are set in modern day, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and like the Alien versus Predator ones are kind of like not part of the main Alien timeline.
This is erasure.
No, I think it's fair erasure.
Predator erasure.
And then there was the Predator one. You know, that was like present day in the '80s, and then the Predator 2 with Danny Glover was like in a retro futuristic LA.
I think it wasn't that far after. I think it was still supposed to be like late 80s.
They had because they had like weird minivans with like technology on the sides of it. It was kind of futuristic city in the same way like Demolition Man is like in a futuristic city or something like that, where it still feels very present day. Evan?
I just want to shout out some people in the chat really quick on the YouTube side of things. X.Matt had sent in a super chat saying shout out to Gina's mention of Mortal Kombat 2 earlier. Tony Mikayla with a super chat we'll return to in a bit when we get to White Lotus. But they're also saying a buddy that works for FX said the show is a banger. I can't wait. Hope it infuses all the vibe from the original and Romulus. We also had another chatter asking, do we get another Ripley clone? Because this is before the events of the first one, we likely won't get a Ripley clone. But you know, looking at the kind of at the Wikipedia page right now, Sydney Chandler, Kyle Chandler's daughter, is playing Wendy in this TV series. That's the woman who we kind of see at the end, who looks like Amelie a little bit. She's described as a woman who has the body of an adult and the consciousness of a child.
Don't like it.
Well, yeah, weird theme right now between Poor Things and.
I don't care for that.
But do we think that this is someone who is like a clone gone wrong or something like that?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a Sigourney Weaver, like if there's a file with her photo on it as she's like in the academy or something. But
she's
like
just like a trucker. She's not like really.
But they do. She goes on this mission, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see like a stack of folders of like, well, who's going on this other mission, blah 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 blah. But I don't think they'll get a clone. I do think there'll be some Sigourney Easter egg.
There'll just be an old guy in a diner who's like, my daughter's out there in space somewhere.
The series finale will be her getting hired for the job.
Yeah.
I just want Yaphet Kotto Easter eggs. Okay?
Fill it up
My
with those.
dude.
Yeah. We should probably move on to Andor, but one of the final questions here from the chat members, Drogo on the Twitch chat asking, how easily killable are these aliens going to be?
Well, not easily killable. That's the fun of it.
Yeah.
Though I guess this presents like a different, right? A lot of the alien enterprises have been, with the exception of James Cameron's Aliens, defined by the humans are at a huge weapon disadvantage.
Right,
They don't have guns, or they're not soldiers, whatever.
Yeah.
But like if they're on Earth and it looks like those are some, SEAL Team 6 looking maneuvers in that one overhead shot of the field. So maybe we get to see a little bit of both. We get to see like head to head with some big human guns, but also them, people having to fight unhanded too.
I will say, in Alien versus Predator was kind of outmatched a little bit. Like, but because he was like a little bit smarter, he ends up ultimately winning. But in Predators, the movie, those are like some of the best fighters, some of the best tactical fighters ever, and even they don't stand a chance against Predators. So I think this highly trained military force also stands no chance against. But I will say, I learned from the astronauts that just came back to Earth that were in the space station.
Did you check them?
They were, I gave them a good once over,
sure they didn't have any xenomorphs in
medical
there?
once over. They were taller in space. They were at least 2 inches
you're
taller,
stretched
2 to
out.
3 inches taller. Like the guy was like, I was over 6 feet tall for the first time in my life.
Yeah.
So I would love it if these aliens showed up and they're like the 7 dwarves. They're just,
they get
They're not
shrunk
used to
down
gravity?
by
yeah, like they get shrunk by gravity and everyone's like, oh, look at them. They're so cute.
That's a fun plot device in The Expanse. The people who live on Mars aren't used to Earth's gravity.
Yeah. That's
When
what
they
I'm
get here, it
saying.
makes them
These
sick.
aliens are badasses in space, but maybe they get to Earth and they're like, oh, this gravity's making me sick.
I want to see, because the xenomorph takes on a bit of the genetics of whatever its host is.
Right.
They explore this in Alien 3 when you had like the dog alien. I want to see some like weird earthbound animal
like a
based
duck
aliens.
or something, or a platypus.
Duck alien would be very cute.
Is this the Gremlins 2 of the movie?
I mean, I want like
Or is it
a
like
bear alien.
Symbiote horse, symbiote frog.
Oh,
kind of
yeah,
vibes.
yeah. There's a good alien.
Venom
Or
frog.
there's a good Aliens versus Batman comic where an alien merges with a crocodile, and you get. a frog.
I'm really interested. Like again, if you've watched the Fargo series, they're usually very good, with the exception of the Chris Rock, Jason Schwartzman season, which I thought was garbage. But all the other ones have been very good.
Yeah.
And like he has kind of the signature move, at least with that show. Legion was different, but like where there's a bunch of characters, maybe like kind of one lead, but there's a bunch of characters, and they are overlapping and interacting in different ways, and he's kind of creates an interesting universe that like you don't always know how the different parties are going to bump into each other. This feels like the show is not kind of presenting a lead or a star forefront.
Yeah.
They didn't even in that
They
clip.
won't
They
show
didn't even
Timothy
include
Oliphant.
Timothy Oliphant, the
Show
biggest
me my
name.
man.
So like I'm interested if that's kind of it. If maybe we meet some Weyland-Yutani people, and we meet some civilians, and we meet some like scientists or whatever, and like how all those parties are going to interact with the aliens, I think could be really cool.
I think he also does like the inherently dark but also slightly ridiculous really well.
Yes.
Like in Legion, it's like, oh god, this is so dark. Like what's like this kid was sort of abused and blah 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 blah. And now he has all these crazy mental powers, but also there's a wacky dance number in the middle of it. And Fargo was sort of inherently absurdist at times too. So I like that he's doing this. I think you can make sort of absurd dark aliens.
Yeah.
I just want a xenomorph with like a Midwest Minnesota accent. I
Oh.
think it would be really cool.
Oh,
Gosh.
yeah.
He was a funny looking xenomorph.
Real slimy looking fella. Had 2 sets of teeth. Wonder how he eats.
It's an expensive dentist appointment.
Yeah. Really ruined me shirt.
Me
I got
shirt.
Sure.
Every
Brandon's
Lucky
been
Charms.
watching Irish accents all day.
too many Irish accents today.
Seattle KO in the YouTube chat reminding us that there's also an Aliens versus Avengers versus Aliens comic run right now. Aliens and Avengers face off. So we know all the Marvel heads are like, what about the Marvel talk? Hey, read these comics right now.
Boom.
Apparently
Evan
they're pretty
just
good.
mentioned it. Moving on.
To Andor.
Let's talk about Andor. Let's go from scary sci-fi to less scary.
Also scary, but in a different way.
Different type of
sort
scary.
of sad and depressing.
If you haven't checked out our breakdown of the first trailer on new Rockstar's channel, check it out. Are we gonna watch that trailer first?
Yeah, we'll watch that first trailer. We'll watch them back to back.
We're gonna watch the first trailer, which has that soundtrack you all love so much, and then we'll watch this new trailer that just dropped today.
Yeah. Walking away from it.
Oh, I love Krennic so much. I'm so excited for this character to come back.
I'm glad we get the weird mom back.
The weird mom is great. The weird mom is great. Of course, Saw Gerrera is great.
And so much more Saw. I want Saw to have a 4-episode arc, please.
We should get a lot. I think we will get a lot more Saw in this one.
Yeah.
You want to watch the second trailer?
Yeah, let's watch this tonally very different second
Brand
trailer.
new.
Came out
Dropped
today.
today.
Yeah.
I came with you to be part of something.
Yeah, Eli Finelli's in the Siren brings you back to the Rogue One.
Yeah. They did use that siren. Because he saved the one. He got like fired from the ISB.
Yeah.
But he went back to Ferrix and he saved the other woman who's got
blonde woman.
Yeah, she's got a great Star Wars name. I forget what it is, but And so like he's gonna get boosted up in the ISB now.
Are we rewatching the first season before
I recommend it. I mean, the first season is great. I recently just rewatched like the last.
I forgot a lot.
The first season is kind of presented in like 3-episode chunks of like story arcs, and I just watched like the last 3 episodes, which starts with the one way out with them escaping the prison.
That's the best episode.
And that episode has a great speech, 2 great speeches in it. Luthen has his great speech in it.
It's the best episode of the series.
And Kino Roy has like his really good speech.
If Stellan Skarsgård, I mean, I don't know who won the Emmy that year, but somebody break into their home and take it. Because he does. I mean, that's
very good. Yeah.
It was probably someone from The Bear. Was The Bear around?
It probably was The Bear.
Yeah.
Though Eben Moss Backrack is in season 1 of Andor.
Eben, give your Emmy to.
Somebody in the chat had asked, "Is season 1 worth a rewatch?" 1,000 times, yes.
It's really
I would say it's probably one of the most rewatchable Star Wars things
I'm gonna rewatch
out there. So yeah, there's gonna be an interesting release cadence for the second season. They're doing it 3-episode drops over the course of 4 weeks. So it's 12-episode series. So each week they're gonna drop 3 episodes. Why they're doing that, we're not sure. We think it's because they have another show coming out a month later.
Yeah, Ironheart's coming out this
They don't
summer.
want them to overlap. But also, how's anybody gonna blast through 3 hours?
You got a week. I think throughout the week you'll watch it all.
Fair.
You know, it starts April 22nd.
You got time.
The first season covered kind of like a year, and then this season's going to cover like 4 years leading up to the events of Rogue One, which ends well for everyone, and it's a very happy ending. I think that white snow monster you asked like about a white Wookiee. I think that's
looks like
the same,
a Wampa.
That's the monster that attacks Luke.
Yeah,
in Empire Strikes
in the
Back,
cave.
Right?
I had the action figure, and his name was Wampa Wampa.
And they can also carry guns?
Well, I think it was implied that like that one was, he was like a hillbilly. He was like
Yeah,
living in the woods still.
That's the Hills Have Eyes Wampa?
Yeah. He's not gonna be on like the UN for Wampas. You know what I mean?
This here's the city Wampa.
Yeah, this guy's a city Wampa. He's like, I went to school, all right.
Yeah.
I don't talk to my cousins anymore. They're a little too. They're eating people, and I don't do that.
But also,
Okay.
in that shot, or would you think he's a part of some kind of resistance, or he's joining the Empire?
I think he's a mercenary.
I bet he's resistance because I think the Empire is very much like we don't want. They want very human facing creatures forward.
But if he's a mercenary, then they could be like, hey, hire whoever you got, hire any bounty hunters. In the system.
Yes, they could be hiring to do like the dirty work.
Yeah.
Because if you remember, if you saw the Solo movie, a Star Wars story, we meet Chewbacca there. He's basically like an animal they've captured, and they're like throwing people down to him to eat. So it's like, give these guys a book and maybe they could rise above their station a little bit.
Just give them a book.
But if you have them chained up in the mud pit and you're throwing people down to eat, that's what they're going to do.
Give them a book. Teach them Aurebesh, which we've all learned is not the easiest thing to pick up.
No.
But, yes.
Yeah. But yeah, we're going to have like a lot of characters back. Bix and Brasso. They're the ones. Bix was the woman, and Brasso's got the big beard.
Brasso reminds me of the Only Murders in the Building.
Brazos.
Yes.
Brazos.
Yes. Now I'm picturing Steve Martin's character in Andor. Just investigating.
He's kind of the big steel worker.
Yeah, and it looks like they're on that wheat planet. Oh, I don't know if the whole planet's wheat. They're working in a wheat field. I don't think it's Ferrix though.
Yeah.
It might not. It could be, but I bet they left Ferrix.
I think they leave. Yeah.
There's too many planets.
And that's where we saw the TIE Avenger, which is a very cool TIE fighter model that was in the TIE Fighter video game.
Do we think Ferrix has an alien on it right now? Did a xenomorph?
Oh, a
set
xenomorph
down
alien
on this planet, and it's walking through the wheat
fields?
fields?
I hope that this you got Disney Plus having both of these shows. I hope Andor ends with a little alien crossover.
Yeah. Put a little xenomorph.
Yeah. Put a little xenomorph.
Little baby xenomorph riding on an R2D2.
Yeah.
So this takes place right before Rogue One, in between the original, the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do we think we get any cameos from any of the OG Star Wars characters? Of course, lots of people asking about Vader in the chat because Vader does appear in Rogue One.
Yeah, you could. I mean, you could definitely have Vader in this, and I bet that's on a cork board somewhere. And I'm sure Tony Gilroy's like, I don't want to do it.
But also,
he did it in his movie.
He doesn't want to do it. But do we think at this point it's lost its shock value because they put him in so much?
I think if you have Vader show up and he does something OP, people will go wild.
Yeah, I mean, I think first of all, Andor is awesome, but one of the complaints about it was that it wasn't Star Warsy enough. People were like, "Oh, we're not.
There's
seeing,
no lightsabers.
We're not
in
seeing
the
lightsabers.
There's no force chokes.
Yeah, you're not really seeing Sith walking around and force choking people. And that would be a way to shut the fanboys up if they're like, "Fine, you want your Vader? Here's your Vader. He's in a tea shop drinking tea.
This tea's too hot. I don't like hot things."
Well, speaking of Force Choke, Trash Attack 1 asking, was Deidre, that's the woman that
Deidre Miro, yes,
saves,
thank you.
Was she getting force choked in that one scene, or was she choking on food? There was a moment where she's grabbing,
maybe there's even gas is getting pumped in or something like that.
Here's the thing. They're going to put Vader in this show. I don't think they can
put him
avoid
in the
it.
First season.
I know, but I think they were saving it because when they put the show together, they knew they were doing 2 seasons.
I mean, anything can be canceled at any point.
No, you're right.
You would think that if they had that in the chamber, they would have wanted to come out strong.
I don't know. I think they want, because you remember Andor came out the same year as Kenobi. I believe.
Yes.
They were both at that year. And Kenobi was chock full of Darth Vader, for good or bad.
There
was some fun Vader, there was some bad Vader in it. There was also Obi-Wan being like, my job's done here. I'll let this guy live. You jerk, Obi-Wan. I think Darth Vader will show up. Now, the bigger question is, do we get Grand Moff Tarkin? Because that's a character that have to CG, they did in Rogue One. Because we are going to see the Gorman Massacre in this, which in Legends canon involved Grand Moff Tarkin basically landing a Star Destroyer on top of a bunch of people, or his ship on top of a bunch of people.
Can I counter pitch? What if we do see Grand Moff Tarkin, but much as they recast Mon Mothma, they found an actress that looked alarmingly like the original Mon Mothma actress. What if they find another Grand Moff Tarkin actor?
Yeah, because Tony Gilroy doesn't seem too stoked on a complete CGI, CGI character.
They did it twice in Rogue One.
I guess that's true, but yeah,
because both Grand Moff Tarkin and Princess Leia are in that movie.
I know, but I think he would have more control over a TV show than he would a movie.
But God, remember that ending? How great was it?
Hope. But I do think Darth Vader will show up. I think he will be part of the Gorman Massacre.
Okay.
I think that's what you want to do. Because you were saying, Evan, we've heard that we're going to be on Gorman for a while, or it's going to show up in multiple episodes.
Yeah, Tony Gilroy was saying that it will take place over 5 episodes. And each, like Zach was saying earlier, each chunk of episodes is going to be 1 year. So it's going to be interesting seeing if it's 5 episodes, what exactly is this going to do?
I will say that makes a lot of sense, only in that if you really want a massacre to hit and to have a big impact on the audience, you got to spend some time with the people who are about to get slaughtered.
Let's see those little kids that are going to be casualties of this event.
No.
Well, I mean,
what are their hobbies?
You could. I mean, they did that across the first season, right?
They started at Ferrix, they ended at Ferrix.
Yes, and you could argue that is like a somewhat flaw. It's the nature of filmmaking, but when the Death Star blows up a planet,
Yeah.
and we've met one person from that planet, and they're not currently on the planet, right? Like, it could desensitize you from the casualties a little bit.
Yeah.
Whereas if we get to know everybody really well,
Yeah. That's true.
I mean, lots of people theorizing, including Eric with the breakdown that Cassian Andor and Luthen may start the massacre, the Gorman massacre, that the Rebel Alliance may get it going because he's chaotic like that, Luthen, Skarsgård.
Oh, I mean, that's one of the great things about this show. It's not black and white. It's not like Luthen is like, we've got to get our hands really dirty to accomplish what we want.
Or even if they don't start it, they know it's going to happen and they don't stop it kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like,
make sure you point that camera at those little kids that are about to get squished.
Oh, the ones who have lots of hobbies that we've learned all about?
What are their hobbies?
Even that quote, if it all goes up in flames, it's going to burn really bright.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, dude.
Damn.
GSU Eagle asking, will Andor at some point say, we're the rebellion, we rebel?
Oh, God, I hope so. The best line they cut out of Rogue One.
Oh, God. Seattle KO asking, or suggesting, could we get an Emperor cameo this time?
Ooh, that could be fun. A little sheaf.
Yeah, I think that's
I think
very much on
an
the
Emperor.
table.
Well, we did see like the Galactic Senate, right, which is pretty much run by Palpatine now. At this
All they
point.
got to do is pan over. Right?
Yeah. Or you just like see his like robe hanging up on a little coat rack, and they're like, "Where is he? He's in the can."
Too many Gorman nachos. Oh, God, they're ripping right through me.
If you can't force push out constipation, what good is the force?
Oh crap! You're right. Like if you've only got like 2 minutes before your meeting, and you're like, go. All right, I'm just gonna do it.
Have you ever heard the tale of Darth Diarrhea? He was a man who could control his own bowel movements. Good stuff.
Darth Diarrhea sounds like he couldn't control his own bowel.
No, he had the power to have diarrhea when he wanted.
That's an awful power.
Sometimes it's efficient. Sometimes you got to cut weight before a wrestling match.
That is the worst superpower I've ever heard of.
Listen, would you rather be in control of your diarrhea or not in control of it? Either way, it's happening.
I mean, the sad part is like, did he gain those powers and then was given the title of Darth Diarrhea, or he was born as like Moff Diarrhea or something like that, Mixed Diarrhea.
Well, no, you have to choose. You get your new name from your like Sith master. So his master called him Darth Diarrhea.
Anakin Skywalker became Darth.
Yeah, you rise Darth Vader, and he's like, thank God I wasn't called Darth Diarrhea.
Yeah. And then his classmate is like, boo.
What'd you get, Jim? I got Darth Diarrhea.
Oh, it's way better than Grand Lord Turtlehead over there.
I'm never comfortable.
Wait, I think of it. No, not yet.
Flip it out. This is all going to be a short form video.
It's that high quality content people come here for.
He's always tells his apprentice, you just wait for the right moment. Just wait for the right moment.
Do we have any more Andor questions, or should we?
It seems like lots of people are excited. I mean, we mentioned that we'll be, you should rewatch the first season.
Yeah.
Do you think people should try to binge watch it or space it out over time?
I think
start now.
Yeah, space it out a little bit, but you can watch them in like little story arc chunks.
They made it in those nice arcs. God, it shows. I'm actually excited to rewatch it.
If you've seen it and you don't want to watch the whole thing again, I recommend like the last 3 episodes.
Or our breakdowns.
Yeah, or the breakdowns up on the new Rockstars channel.
If you want just like all the what do I need to know?
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll have a primer up or something before the show comes out. But yeah, if you have not checked it out, it's a great show. If you like Star Wars, it's very cool.
Even if you don't like Star Wars, it's very good. I know people who are not Star Wars people who were like, yeah, that was like so well written and so well acted and just loved it.
Yeah, Tony Gilroy said, we're taking this shit as seriously as we can. You love to hear that. You love to hear that. Simple.
You know who else takes their shit as seriously as they can?
Who?
Darth Diarrhea.
Playing real fast and loose with the canon, aren't we?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, also throw out in the comments of the chat between Alien Earth, which we don't know a lot about, and Andor Season 2, which we know a lot more about.
Yeah.
Where's your hype level at? And I guess including the third head of that, The Last of Us Season 2.
Okay.
Sure.
Right, kind of 3 different types of sci-fi, fantasy, horror that are
three different networks.
Three different networks coming up in the spring and the summer. Like,
or maybe there's something cool that we don't even know about.
Yeah,
maybe
I'm
there's
sure
a fourth thing.
Apple TV has 9 new secret sci-fi series
that we'll never hear about because they don't advertise them.
Rantal Moore just sending a super chat, always sending a super chat every time we're live to tell us to watch Wheel of Time. Thank you, Rantal Moore.
Oh, Wheel of Time. Yeah.
Prime Video.
Yeah. Should we do this little ad before we switch gears?
We're gonna get talking about White Lotus, but first we want to talk about sleep because we're all about getting the best sleep possible here at the Break Room, which is why we're stoked that Miracle Made is our sponsor of today's shows. The temperature you sleep at has a huge impact on the quality of your sleep. If you're constantly waking up because you're too hot or too cold, I sleep hot myself. You gotta try Miracle Made sheets. Miracle Made's fabric was inspired by NASA, so it's also thermoregulated. That means you'll sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. Plus, the sheets are crazy comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands. Miracle Made sheets are infused with silver that prevents bacterial growth. Bacteria, of course, can clog your pores, causing breakouts and acne. So sleeping on Miracle Made sheets is good for your skin too. Upgrade your sleep this year. Go to trymiracle.com/breakroom to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code BREAKROOM at checkout, you'll get a free 3-piece towel set and you'll save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. Upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/breakroom and use the code BREAKROOM to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/breakroom to treat yourself. Thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring today's episode. Okay, Zach's gone.
Zach, what? Oh my God!
And John's here. That's right, John Costa is here, folks.
I'm here to sprinkle a little fiber onto this conversation.
Oh,
okay. It was getting a little
loose. Yeah. Let's stiffen up this loaf.
When was the last time you guys had diarrhea?
On purpose?
In the pool.
Oh.
No, that's the worst time.
In the pool.
That's what that was?
Yeah.
Ugh.
I didn't take that sign seriously that said if you've had diarrhea within the last 2 weeks, you're not allowed to
I just do a little pull-up and then I go in.
It's just disgusting. I can't believe we're starting a very serious conversation with this.
Listen,
someone said that our coverage of White Lotus last week was too gross, and I'm here to make sure that person watches this episode and says the same thing.
I don't think that person's still watching.
Yeah, hopefully not. Thank you to Garrett Bridges who sent in $10 super chat. Hopefully you have fun at WonderCon this weekend. Maybe you'll see some of us there. You never know.
Yeah.
Might see some break room folks around.
Some people.
Yeah. And Tony Mikayla had sent in the super chat earlier saying, me during White Lotus episode last night, OMG, Gina is probably living for this right now. Gina, were you?
Hey.
I built this desk.
Hey.
Is John going to claim to be right again even though I was right?
It's not that I'm claiming to be right, Gina. And this is where I think you're wrong.
Oh? Okay. Because last week,
we are both right.
Here's the thing. Last week, I specifically said those two hooked up. And I was told they didn't hook up. They just kissed. And I said, we didn't see what happened after it yet. We could pick right back up.
Well, we had to go back and watch these episodes of the Break Room because I said something along the lines of, we don't know that they hooked up.
Yeah.
And in fact, they don't know that they hooked up either.
I knew, and they know
and then
fast.
they did.
And then they did
hook up.
Yeah, this episode was titled Denial, I believe.
I was screaming during
And the episode is full of denials, which I really like. Both like spoken denials, implied denials, and also like denials that are true and denials that are false, and denials that they even deny themselves. And what I liked about the very interesting plot point of the brothers is that at first you don't know what's real and what's not, and at first you don't know which brother knows what, and you also don't know if Chloe is lying later when she's talking this accent, and then at the end it's basically confirmed that everything we thought in this nightmare scenario happened has happened.
I agree, but I also love the fact that the show was like, hey, we're going to show you stuff in this episode that is not real with Kim and the gun, right?
Yes,
and so it does kind of keep you on your toes. You're like, oh, they were in a really weird headspace. And when I saw that scene in the beginning, so we're going to talk about this a little graphically. It's late in the episode at this point.
And we're going to be spoiling the episode, so if you haven't watched the episode.
But like at the beginning, it almost looks like Saxon is just masturbating.
Yeah.
And you can't quite put two and two together.
And I love that each reveal makes you scream a little bit more because you're like, ew, he's masturbating next to his brother.
And then he's masturbating, staring at his brother.
He'd already done that before.
And then it's, ew, his brother's jerking him off. And then it's, ew, his brother jerked him off to completion.
Please use the language that's in the teleprompter. We're referring to this as a squeezer.
When has anyone ever referred to that as a squeezer?
Am
I out on lingo?
No.
The Shorzy episode 1. That's all.
Okay.
Wait.
That's our touchstone.
Hold on. You made me make a Shorzy reference. I don't like Shorzy. I don't like Letterkenny, and I can't believe I was just forced to make
This
one of
reminds
those.
me of school.
I love him.
The little cherry juice drink.
Yeah,
you have little faces on
you'll
them.
never
You gotta
drink one of those
squeeze it.
ever again.
Yeah, every time you think to squeeze it now,
I don't want-
fellow millennials.
Oh, no.
There were some promo images out before this episode dropped of Lachlan and Saxon having switched swim trunks that some eagle-eyed viewers noticed. And then, of course, we saw how that happened in the episode, right? Like,
Saxon just wants to get out of
in
there.
a hungover stupor, kind of like puts on his shorts. I personally would love to give a little flowers to Patrick Schwarzenegger for this episode.
Yes.
He did some really good acting.
He was
in this
so good,
episode.
and I did see a lot of people being like, "Hey, he's a nepo baby," but and
you still have to be able to
he's
act.
so good.
Yeah,
I mean, some don't, but in this one, like, I specifically was like, man, he is good.
Yeah.
This was the first, like, I loved him in Gen V, and I loved him for the first few episodes of this, but this was the episode that I was like, this dude is acting.
And then I can't remember if on screen or off screen we were like, do we think he's acting? Like literally last week we were like, I don't know if he's actually. And then this we're like, you know what?
Brilliant.
If we had said it publicly, I retract it. At least on my end.
Yeah, he's really crushing.
And
it.
I think it's a testament to his performance when Chelsea to him is like, I wouldn't have sex with you because you're soulless. You don't have a soul.
Yeah.
I felt bad for the poor
I mean,
dude. I was like, this poor guy.
This whole episode, I was like, dude, just squish it down deep inside and never talk of it
you're
again.
gonna have to put that in
you need to do something to compartmentalize this so you can move on with your life.
Now, does all of this, I as far as victim on this show, or someone who one or multiple people could die in this show.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I am most concerned about this family, mainly because this family is falling apart like the most.
They all seem like they could kill
And I'm
themselves
most
at
worried
any
about
moment.
Victoria, who, when she finds out everything her children have been up to, not only what Tim's been up to, but like what her children have been up to, it's going to be devastating for her. And the fact that poor Tim, he finally talks to the monk, and he gets like a very nice description of life and death, which
oh my God, I will say that
common.
monk is going to convince a lot of people to kill themselves.
Whoa.
Okay? I was watching, and I was like, man, it sounds good to be in the ocean right now. You know what I mean?
See, I thought he was convincing...
I don't want to be a drop.
Yeah.
No, I thought he was convincing a lot of spoiled white kids to go to Thailand and become Buddhist.
Well,
I mean, also that.
He's taking a moment to just like talk.
Yeah.
But I really felt for Tim coming back home, or back to the very nice resort they're staying at, and then his wife being like, "I can't live if we're." And so it's like
that whole
it's like a
scene.
weird permission structure for him to annihilate his family, which I'm most worried about.
No, I think she's gonna step up. I think she's stronger than she looks. I think he's gonna.
She's been detoxing from lorazepam.
You're right.
Yeah,
She's drinking a lot.
I-
She's
I
drinking
think-
a lot.
I
but-
think she's gonna end up taking the reins of this family and being like, "Get it together, you guys."
I mean, some of us here and some of us online have been speculating about like Tim maybe being the person who ends up staying in Thailand.
Yeah.
I
think
figure he
this
would run away
episode-
to
He
the
goes with this
monastery.
monk.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
episode really kind of like boosts that theory a little bit more. But like, that's a good question, right? If that is Tim's final act of this show, is to stay and to like, give up his earthly possessions that have already been seized from him.
He's been forced
or
to
whatever,
give up,
right? What does that mean for Victoria? Does that mean that she, like, you'd think that their relationship does not speak like a divorce is coming to me?
No.
Other than the fact that she's like very attached to their money, and maybe that changes things when she finds out that they don't have it anymore.
Yeah,
but
and
like,
you know who does have money? Her new husband, Greg.
ooh.
I would love
you
that
heard it
if
here
Greg's
first. Brandon was
like
right.
if Greg is so mad that Chloe slept with the brothers and he's like, I'm gonna find
way.
myself a new wife.
I mean, damn. That house is
That's a big house.
I mean, his wife that he definitely murdered, and Brandon is wrong that he didn't murder her.
You
had a lot of money.
You watched her die.
He did not murder her.
Thank you.
He
had her
up
killed.
to be murdered.
How?
We still don't know, Gina. I don't know.
How did
know.
he set her up to be murdered?
We're gonna find out in the next episode when he tells Belinda that he wants to fund her yoga palace.
All I gotta say is, if you can just say my house is at the top of the hill, you have a nice house.
I also
if that's the only
you're right.
direction you have to give.
The
whole island's a hill.
With an infinity pool that overlooks the whole city.
House at the top of the hill. He can have a sniper up there.
Whoa!
Just saying.
Monkey sniper.
Well, I will say
Team
too,
Monkey Snipers. Team Monkey Snipers.
He's the one training them.
Of the dead body that we've seen, we assume is dead, that we saw in the cold open.
We assume.
It is in the water. And what did the monk say? You go back into the water.
That's true.
So it could be Tim.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of monkeys, I did notice Sri Tala. She was wearing that monkey brooch.
Yeah. Maybe she's training.
Do we think
I
she's
also noticed that Chloe was wearing a Lisa Simpson necklace. Do you think that Lisa's going to show up?
It was kind of like artistically.
Or maybe it
designed
wasn't
like
Chloe. It was Chloe.
Chelsea.
Yeah.
Chelsea.
Was it Chelsea?
No, Chelsea.
Chloe
one of the
had
two
a little
women.
gold necklace.
Yeah, Chelsea wears a gold necklace that is a little block.
Yeah.
And I think it says something on it. Yeah, quite a crazy episode, Evan.
Yeah, I mean, while we're kind of talking about Greg and Gary, you know, there is this weird like plot he's starting to hatch of like this dinner party and getting both, you know, Saxon specifically, but the Ratliffs are now almost all of them are
I
going.
think he
Something's
smells,
going on.
smells family money.
So
Belinda also destroyed her excuse. She was like,
Yes.
"My son's coming into town," and he was like, "Well, bring your son." And she was like, "Well, he's gonna be asleep." It's like, okay, then you can.
Then you can
with
come.
the jet lag.
Totally didn't think
I
about
think
that.
This is gonna be him. I like he obviously has enough money to fund her business that she wants, that his wife promised her she would fund. I think this is gonna be him being like, hey, just for no reason, I'm gonna offer you a large sum of money to open your resort.
Here's my get out of jail free card.
And she's gonna have to decide: am I a bad person that takes money from this rich guy who I can't even really prove that he did anything? There's gonna be one guy on the jury like Brandon who thinks he's innocent.
I think most
On
people
trial.
on the jury would be like, "You have not presented any evidence yet." But go ahead.
And or is she gonna turn him down and then he's maybe gonna murder her?
Ooh.
But she could live happily ever after with porn chai in her
And
business.
and I mean, we didn't talk about this. This is this episode, right? Not last week, where Porn Chai was sort of like, "Stay here with me."
No, that
and
was
we get
this
to start our
episode.
business together.
And he's very sweet about
the
it.
way that was played, you
was
thought
weird,
that was
right?
sweet.
It was weird.
I thought it was weird.
Well, it's like it is very fast.
That's very true. But like the way that the show presented it, in terms of like the music
ulterior
and
motives or
it
something.
felt ulterior motives.
Like maybe Greg hired him and
I
he's
think-
like seduce this.
know.
I hope it's not that. I want Belinda to be happy.
You are so blinded by Greg. Like you're falling into the trap. The show, it's a whole pot of red herrings.
I've
and you're just,
never
like
met
swimming
there's never
around
been
it.
a bald man who hasn't been evil.
Here's the thing, like Greg is a bad dude, right? He was using Tanya for her money, you know, weaseled his way into a relationship with her. But he had nothing to do with her death. He's taking advantage of it. And of course he does not want to talk to Interpol.
Brandon's wife.
Because he's done other
Run.
things that are illegal, but he's not involved in Tanya's death. Now, I could be wrong.
I mean, look, if I were in Greg/Gary's position and I didn't kill my wife, but this happened,
Yeah.
I might skip town.
Have you never seen The Fugitive, Gina? You know what happens? You
You
get
heard
thrown
it
in jail
here.
for it.
And the cop
when
says,
you say,
"I don't
Yeah,
care."
you say I didn't
don't
murder my wife.
care.
They say I don't care. And then
Evan,
you have to
They
jump.
don't.
Well, JDogXXY had sent in 500 bits earlier asking a question about White Lotus. I think there was a camera on the boat, and that's how Greg knows what's happened, and then he's going to show the footage at the party. Do you
Ooh, I
think
love
that
that.
interaction, that their Chloe's, threesome with the boys, with the brothers, do you think that's important to him in this moment?
He did seem kind of into it. Like when she's like, he seemed kind of into it. Like when, like at some point she's like, is that what you want?
I
You
think-
want me to tell you.
I think you're onto something here with this like theory, and I think his intuitiveness was more. Is she gonna lie to me right here, or will she just be straight up with me?
Yeah.
And when he sees that she's like gonna use subterfuge, he's like, okay, she's out of the plan. I'm gonna kill her. No, just kidding. I do think I like this idea, right? You get this rich family over to your house, and then you extort them in some sort of weird way, and then when
Yeah.
Tim's gonna be like, I don't have any money. Then you kill all of them. No.
I mean, Greg Gary doesn't need money, But I do think having video evidence of getting a squeezer from your little brother is the most horrific thing that my mind can think of. So I would love it if there was a video on the boat. At some point, Chloe sees 2 of the deckhands, and she's like, I need to go bribe them so they don't say anything.
But that's don't you think that's paranoia?
No, because I do think a guy who is as paranoid as Greg Gary probably said to them, like, hey, here's an extra, like, $300. Tell me what my, like, French-Canadian girlfriend is up to tonight. And then she's going to go to them and be like, hey, whatever he's paying you, I'll double it. It's still technically his money because I don't have my own money. Right. But like I think somehow they are gonna prove something. I mean, I think the brothers have to reckon with this in some way. Yeah. I mean, I think it's gonna get ugly.
Yeah, I think like to bring everyone over for dinner and then like evil villain play them a slideshow of their misbehavior is probably
maybe not in front of, you pull Tim to the side or something like that.
Your 2 sons wake each other off and
you
but I don't think he needs to blackmail anyone.
I think you're right. I think that it's enough to be like, I know what happened and now do the thing that I
So what do you think why does Greg/Gary want to bring these people over for dinner?
I mean, I think he's probably going to make Belinda an offer. He's going to pull her aside. And if she says no, he wants like an ironclad alibi that like everyone saw me at this party. But
that's true.
Like, you know, like, oh, I couldn't have had anything to do with her murder.
It should be said, too, like, there's no way that Belinda gets murdered at this dinner party because we've seen her son days-ish later, and he's not, like, destroyed.
We know that she's not going to be killed. I also don't think there's any way the show would actually kill her at the end. I don't think she's the one that is going to die. I now think it's one of the white ladies.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Well, before we get to the Jacqueline, Kate of it all, Lori of it all, let's talk about the squeezer a little bit.
Squeezer.
Okay.
My pleasure.
Sam Niavola, who plays Lachlan, the younger brother, right? He told the Hollywood Reporter, quote, "It's never just for being sake of shocking. It always serves the story. And that incest scene really is the inciting incident for where our relationship goes next.
Hey,
it's a great hook up. Okay. It's a great storytelling tactic. This isn't Game of Thrones. Going into this, we really trusted Mike because he's a fucking badass and a genius. And then Patrick Schwarzenegger, of course, who plays Saxon. He had to say about this about this scene. He was like, "What is that going to do to a guy who he."
What is that going to do to who he thinks he is? What
is that going to do to who he thinks he is?
Nepo baby never learned phonics.
His thoughts on what it's like to be a man, what is a man, what makes all these different things that he thought he stood for in the episode and the days before. What I think about this whole situation, right? They've already established in episode 1, right? Saxon has this, like, I would call it a porn addiction. You know, that's the main reason he does not want to give away his materials. He's willing to start looking at porn with his brother in the room. His brother, who at this point we have been led to believe is a virgin. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but I definitely think he's drank and done drugs before.
For it.
He seemed like he knew what was going on. Yeah. But also, like, he's probably very sexually inexperienced. And the actors, if you watch the interview after the episode, they talk to the 3 kids. And he brought up a good point. Like, he is constantly trying to make his brother happy, impressed. He does this thing while they're all hooking up together because his brother has put him in this scenario and he thinks it's the right thing to do. He's making his brother happy. And now his brother, like, won't even look at him, right? Won't even make him a shake the next day.
Which is crazy because he was complaining just a couple of nights ago that the massage that he got did not include a happy ending.
Yes.
There's your happy ending.
So it's like, suddenly you're doing what you think he wants and now it's been turned against you. And, like, Lachlan is kind of lost. And, like, the moment when he's meditating and it all comes flooding back. And he, like, looks around as if people can see what he's thinking.
He specifically looks at his sister. Right. I think that I don't know what's going to happen with his sister, but I think whatever happens at the monastery, at the temple, I think she's not going to want to do that year there. I think her mother was so smug when she was like, yeah, stay one night in the haunted place, and if you emerge the next day, like, you're the victor. And she clearly didn't want to do it. Like, she's like, well, they probably don't really have room for me. I think whatever happens, whether it's her brother confessing to her, like, hey, I gave a squeezer to our other brother, I think she's gonna be like, nope, I don't want anything to do with this.
But wouldn't that make her want to stay at the monastery and be like, I want to go back?
No, I think
North
it'll be
Carolina?
tainted after whatever happens.
Tainted.
I think it'll be tainted.
I took the mom, Victoria being like, you won't even last night here. That being more of her, right? Like her talking about like we need to give our daughter a fear of poverty. Like she has a fear of poverty.
Such a
so in her
point.
mind, if she had to sleep in some sort of like hostel-esque situation, she would be like, oh God, I can't do this.
But I think the daughter is extremely sheltered.
Sure,
I
and that's
think
not
she's
her
so
fault.
Sheltered. No, it's not her fault, but it is a very specific type of person, and I do think like the harsh realities of like, hey, do you genuinely think you can do this for a year after you've like
maybe, and that's quite possible.
Well, and I think to sort of the point that you were making last week about Piper, it's very possible that from Piper's perspective, I'm only going to be able to do this year here if I am here and I'm by myself and like there's no real way for me to like, call dad and get a hotel room and then a flight home, right? Like this is a situation she's being put in with where there's like everything that potentially could be uncomfortable for her. She could just be like, great, I don't have to do this ever again.
Right.
And so she's almost getting an excuse for herself to be able to like, self-select out.
But it also is like everything that like this trip will be funded by her parents. She does not have her own money. It's not like this isn't the type of family where like they get a job other than Saxon works with his dad. He was given that job. But even when she says to the head monk, like, I could obviously still come because I'm an adult, but my parents could make it very uncomfortable. Yeah. Like they would be paying for the flight. They would be paying for all the incidentals.
I mean, they might not be going home at this point.
But like that's the whole thing is like she is this sort of privileged little white girl who like isn't admitting that like their extreme wealth is making this possible. Like she was in a different tax bracket, there's not like a kid who's working at a Wendy's. It's like, you know what? I'm gonna take a year off and go to Thailand.
Although, I mean, the guy does kind of call her out and say like a lot of people from your country come here and
yeah. Well, he says that to the dad
to Tim,
because he knows. He's like, yeah, lots of rich white girls come here and do yoga.
Yeah, I mean, I do think she is sheltered and she is seeking these experiences.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's gonna run away from it so quickly. I still, at first I was kind of like, what is up with this girl? Because she was kind of hiding stuff, but now that we know she's just been afraid to talk to her parents about it. Yes, given the harsh reality of the situation, not even that harsh, like given the reality of like being at this monastery for a year, she might balk at that. But I think she's genuinely interested in trying to find a way to make it work. Yeah. But I don't know. I think this whole thing is going to shake out very strangely. Evan?
Also, I believe Marvel Pirate or someone asking earlier was like, did you guys buy that Tim killed himself in that opening scene?
No.
Like,
oh, really?
100%.
I was like, at first I was like, that's crazy, but I was like, maybe they're willing to go there for this show.
That was my immediate reaction. Yeah. But then, like, literally as soon as it lasted more than 30 seconds, I was like, nah, it's like, it's fake.
No, even when he was still holding the gun, I was like, oh, this is a dream sequence.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like 2 seconds in, I was like...
My only feeling was that, like, because it's the third season of the show, that they would maybe try and sneak in surprise first murder, and then second murder comes later.
That was sort of where I was, where, like, this show has been, like, build, and then we're going to do crazy stuff in the finale. And I was like, oh, it would be interesting if, like, there was fallout that happened... I guess
halfway
mid-season at this point, where we only have 2 episodes left.
Yeah,
but like,
I
would
just
be interesting. When he held the gun to Victoria's head, I was like, you don't have that gun anymore.
Which I think was very smart editing to be.
Yeah.
We as the audience know that gun is now gone, and we're like, oh, so this is clearly
right. But I will say that like I do think that these brothers need to live in their discomfort, and anything that would distract them from it, including the horrific death of their dad, would be giving them an easy way out. Right? Yeah. Like I think that they need to reckon with what they've done and who they are. And anything that's like, oh, your dad is dead. Now you can think about this other horrible thing to not think about that. I think that would be too easy.
I think they would change the timeline. They would be like, the squeezer happened after Dad killed himself. And Piper would be like, no, it didn't.
Yeah.
Like, yes, we were freaked out.
Well, I mean, also, like, how insane, though, was it that he envisioned killing his wife?
Yeah,
like
you don't
that.
get
Well, because he asked for it.
Because his poor wife was like, I can't live without money.
Right.
I know.
You don't get to make that decision.
Hey,
of course not.
But
That's
most family annihilators are not doing the good thinking ahead of their decision.
Yeah, I do love the weirdness of her being like, yeah, I'm not meant to live a life, and then it like fades out as she's just like, I like my scents.
Yeah. Delicious
grass.
stuff.
And it's like, who are you talking to?
Grass.
You're
That was
insane.
She's coming down off
Grass.
lorazepam addiction.
My
Now let's talk real quick about Jacqueline, Lori, Kate. I mean,
I'd rather not.
just a great trio.
This episode was so good.
Just like I love the Kate kind of like is does a very interesting thing where she immediately tells Lori that she saw Valentine coming out of Jacqueline's room, and then is like,
was mad
even
about it.
immediately in that conversation is like, I didn't think you'd react like this. How do you think she'll react? You know exactly what you're doing. You know you're stirring the pot.
No, she wants to stir the pot, but she doesn't want it to come back on her.
I know, it was wild when she was upset that Lori told Kate, like, oh yeah, Jacqueline told me so-and-so was in your room. She was like offended.
What's really wild is that Jacqueline is mad about any of this. Because, girl, you are the one who did this. You absolutely pushed Valentine on your friend, and then behind her back you hooked up with him, and now you're pulling a, like, everyone gossips behind my back, blah, blah, blah. I saw someone on Threads be like, I am team Lori, and my husband is team Jacqueline, and every comment was,
Divorce.
Girl, divorce that man.
Divorce.
Like, that is a red flag if I have ever heard one.
How could you be on team cheater?
I don't know,
That's
but
crazy.
This husband has now taken so many strays because his wife was like, isn't it funny? And everything was like, it's not funny. Leave immediately. Get to a safe place.
Hey, as long as he's not on Team Guy Talk, because that guy's gotta go.
Hey,
he did it.
now
He
he
did it this
redeemed
time.
himself.
No, there's no redemption.
He's going on a
redeemed
date
himself.
with Lou.
He broke into
He's also a good shot.
someone's room.
But also,
okay?
Who stole a gun from him?
But
He
also-
thinks he doesn't have any
also,
evidence.
Except for the gun
But
and the video.
We're clearly supposed to think at this point that Guy Talk will shoot someone because his manhood is threatened. Because in this episode, he's like, oh, they gave me a gun. And Mook is like, hey,
Yeah, she loves the
a
gun.
That's great. And then he goes and he's like, a dead eye, like only a couple minutes into shooting this. And the guy's like, hey, man, look at you. And he's like, but also, you got to use it if you're doing. And Guy Talk's like, I have a date tonight. I need to shoot somebody.
Hell yeah.
We've all been there.
He's also a great shot.
Great shot. Yeah.
He's Jason Bourne,
that's
dude.
what I'm saying.
Hey,
like,
you know Saxon took his shot the night before.
All right.
I mean, I would not be surprised if Valentine's like weirdo friends come back to rob the resort, and like the two bodyguards end up like failing in their duties, and it's only like Guy Talk with a gun.
Can we talk about the bodyguards real fast?
Hey.
Yeah.
So Rick and his good buddy, the man who wants to be an Asian woman, they drive up in the boat to Sritala's house. We still haven't seen the husband. I don't know what actor is playing the husband, but we're excited.
I tried to look on IMDb. Also, the voice of
Oh, they have cast
they've
it?
cast it.
I thought he was in a photo at one point.
We did see a photo, but I didn't recognize
But also
him.
on IMDb, it said that the voice of Jacqueline's husband, what's his name?
Whoever she's married to.
The hitman.
The hitman?
Who's the actor? What's
Timothy
his name?
Oliphant?
Glenn Powell?
Glenn Powell?
It had him listed as the
What?
actor.
That'd be fun.
Which, like, maybe it's just his voice, or maybe someone got it wrong on IMDb.
I was wondering who the voice was in that. Anyways,
IMDb is never wrong.
so Rick
Glenn
rolls
Powell.
up. Rick rolls up to the house. You know, we get a good look at the gun, just kind of
Yeah.
casually hanging there. We know she has those bodyguards. Would those bodyguards not check this guy before he comes into the house?
I mean, that is a good question. Also, like the popular theory is that Walton Goggins is gonna meet this dude who his mom told him
Right.
killed his dad, but it's gonna
But
turn
he
out to
is,
really
yeah.
be his dad.
It's Star Wars. It's Star Wars.
Right. Which, like, it's at this point, it's almost so obvious that I think Mike White might have something else up his sleeve. But also, I wouldn't be mad to see Walton Goggins like be like da da, and just like break down crying, and then go back to his girlfriend and be like, I love you. I'm emotionally open now.
I do feel like whatever Amrita has said to him in his 2 sessions
Has
is gonna
unlocked
like
something.
get in his head somehow.
Yeah.
And again, Amrita's the killer.
You
we will
are
reach
obsessed
that
with
reveal.
Amrita.
She's great. She's a killer, but she's
We
great.
haven't seen Amrita in like 4
Cold-blooded.
episodes.
I know, because she's
People-
planning to
She's
kill
in
everybody.
the shadows.
I will say they have shown, you know, things they keep showing us a lot of, obviously, like wildlife, you know, either the threat of wildlife or actual wildlife, like the lizards and stuff. We see the blender every episode. I
Yeah.
still think this like poisonous fruit is gonna make its way into the blender,
Saxon
whether
and
on
his brother
purpose.
Are gonna drink. He's
well,
like,
now
well, we jerked each other off, so the only option is to take poison.
that's
fruit.
what I'm most worried about now. At first, I thought it would be an accidental thing.
Yeah.
But now that Saxon has had this experience,
Yes.
and also is about in the teaser for next week is going to be confronting his dad about the possibility of the business being gone.
Yeah.
If he has nothing left.
Nothing. He's got.
But
nothing
is he
left.
too selfish to kill himself in that he would kill his brother?
He is spiraling so
Yeah.
much.
He's crashing out, as the kids
I
say.
think it's anything goes. Also, I just remembered that I think it's Scott Glenn.
It's Scott Glenn.
Okay, who by the way is
That's way
Stick,
different than-
Stick from Daredevil.
Oh,
Scott,
no,
so
no.
that's Sri Tala's husband.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Scott Glenn is Sri Tala's husband.
but Glenn Powell is still
the
credited?
voice of Jacqueline.
Yeah,
husband.
it's
Whether or
not
but
fully confirmed, but very likely. I think a lot of people are saying it's Glenn Powell, but not fully confirmed.
But like we've heard Ki Hui Kwan. This might be the Severance casting Keanu Reeves for a voiceover.
How tragic would it be if cameo culture turned into just the person
Just
on the
voice culture?
phone?
Yeah.
Just voice
I mean,
culture?
I can't imagine what are they gonna in
Hey,
2 episodes
hey.
be like, hey, let's bring in 10 new
Hey,
characters.
Frasier did that first, okay? For you kids out there, Frasier,
not familiar with what that
he
is.
ran a talk show in
That
Seattle.
show that stars the Beast.
Yes, it stars the Beast. And celebrities would call in, and it would be a fun. You would just hear their voice.
Yeah,
It'd be a lot
that's
of
true.
fun.
That's
Also, Marvel Pirate pointing out that Walton Goggins now has a gun. It's another gun that's
Yeah.
entering the fray.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely.
More guns.
Yeah.
But I will say, none of these are all handguns, and it
Yeah.
seemed like there was a lot of automatic rifles happening.
Yeah. I also
in
think
the opening.
I also think we still don't necessarily know a gun is gonna kill someone.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
true.
Like we see a body in the water, could be poison fruit, could be a
Slipped on a
lizard.
boat, you know?
Lizard jumped down its throat,
Yeah.
made its way through its body, and shot out the butt.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, lizard out the butt.
Yeah.
Do you think
Lizard
that it's
out
more
the
likely
butt.
that the lizard goes in and then inhabits the body and
Yeah.
becomes the first lizard person?
I think these lizards are wild cards. They might become a human. They might come out your butt.
Okay.
Who knows?
Okay.
One of them is a Sith.
Is anyone gonna go to this Muay Thai fight? You think?
They have to. They can't set it
I
up
think
and then-
either they're
Think
going to go to the
how do
Muay
all
Thai
3
fight.
women go?
But the other thing is they could also be invited to this Glenn Ross party.
Glenn
Right.
Powell, Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross.
Is anyone gonna watch Fabian sing?
Is
everyone gonna be gone?
I think
I
that
hope
this is
not.
what's
They're all
gonna
gonna be up at the
I
house.
hope
Is
not.
there
All
gonna
gonna
be a
in the
Muay
house on
Thai
the hill,
fighting?
and then Fabian is going to come out, and he's going to be so bummed.
Oh no.
Listen,
Good.
Fabian is a bad man.
I hate
He
Fabian
is a
in the
bad
way that
person.
Brandon hates guy talk. Fuck Fabian.
Yeah, Fabian.
He's bad at his
He
job.
did not, and I love that
job.
Belinda he's holding a grudge. Like he's like, "How are you feeling today?" And she's like, "Not better." Like go fuck yourself, Fabian. Like I love that she didn't let him off the hook by being like, "Oh, I'm good. My son's here now." Like she's just like, "No, I'm not good. You completely dismissed me, you son of a bitch."
I mean, she
Also-
accused someone of murder with no evidence. I don't.
There's
She's a
evidence.
murderer of murder.
There's-
Yes,
unfortunately,
you are
there's a lot of
correct.
evidence. Also, Belinda's
no
son
evidence.
is way too cool. First of all, newest, hottest person on
Oh,
the
I
show.
love
Insane.
him.
on
I
the-
love him.
Cool.
Insane.
Why can't he be that cool?
I mean,
I love that he's-
incredible. If I walked in
No.
on my mom with someone else, I would try to be that cool, and it would not work.
I love it though because he knows how hard his mom
Oh,
works. He knows how
100%.
lonely she's
It's-
been.
yeah.
And also, it was like so cute. Like Porn Chai was like spooning her middle, and his head was like on her chest.
You can't
I
sleep
was
like that. That's insane.
I was like,
Get
look
off
at
That was
me.
that.
after they
Yeah, Portia, get off me.
they
I'm
were just
sleeping.
like-
It's hot. It's humid.
It is
Get off
funny.
me.
No,
That
she
is
wants.
true.
She craves human touch. She only gets to touch rich white ladies.
That's true. That's true, I guess. Okay. Any final predictions as we're 2 episodes away?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's right. I won't be here for those next
Oh,
episodes.
Evan!
And John won't be here for the finale,
Oh no.
right?
Oh, that's
Oh.
right. We're gonna be in Vegas.
terrible.
Let's do a stream from Vegas, just you and me.
Oh,
Wow, just the White Lotus chat. Adam, we'll find a resort. We'll find a 4 Seasons in Vegas.
Listen, don't take any pills that are offered to you.
We're
you
gonna
guys.
be at the fucking
We don't want a
craziest
White
pool
Lotus.
party.
Don't drink any protein shakes.
Yeah, don't take it. Don't eat any fruit that you don't know what it is.
Here's what I'll say. I'm most worried about Chelsea. I'm very worried about Chelsea. She has the most.
She cannot die.
I know, and that's what makes me most worried because like she is very fearful. She keeps bringing up like the bad feelings she has,
Yeah.
or like bad things happen in 3s. I'm just very concerned.
Yes, I agree. The bad things happening in 3s makes me feel like she's gonna bite the dust. Okay,
Yeah.
so who dies in the first 2 seasons? The first season is just Maury. Is that
Yeah.
his name? Murray?
Yeah.
And then the second season, it's some of the gays.
It's Tanya and some of the
Tanya.
gentlemen on the boat.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
That's not really a pattern.
No, and I think he wants there not to be a pattern.
Right.
I will say that, like, I do think that if we have this moment of, like, Walton Goggins' character meeting Scott Glenn, and whether he's his dad or whether he's just a dude who killed his dad, and he, like, forgives him, and he has this personal growth and is, like, wow, okay, like I've healed my trauma. Let me go back to my lovely girlfriend, and then she gets shot.
Yeah.
I do think that is great. I think then it's sort of like a hey, too little, too late, fucker.
The guy who kills his dad kills his girlfriend. Could be.
I mean, I don't know how I don't know, but I do kind of think that would be the most tragic. I mean, also if you kill Mook, there's going to be a revolution.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
just from people on the internet.
Yeah.
No, they wouldn't allow that. I do think I'm just worried about Chelsea. I do think that these Russian gentlemen, they could come back again because they were definitely involved in the jewelry heist.
Right.
And if they try, I think another heist is going to be tried. I think Guycock.
But you gotta
Guycock the idiot is going to start blasting like a maniac, even though he's a great shot.
Yeah.
He's a great shot. I think in the moment.
Hit Chelsea.
Well, because the guy pointed out, like, when the real thing happens, are you going to be ready?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then
he's not.
And then Walton Goggins comes, sees that he just shot Chelsea, shoots Guycock.
Oh. Is Goggins bringing? I don't think can Goggins get the gun back.
Probably not.
He's got to fly on a plane.
He's got to fly on a plane.
Or did he take a boat?
I mean,
we don't know how he got there.
Maybe Shutala will let him use her private jet, and then you don't have to go through.
Okay. Well, these are some great theories. Evan, do you have a theory?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of things you guys have said earlier today. John was about to say something. The only thing is, I'll say the new Lori is Portia's mom theory is the British dude from season 2 is Chelsea's brother.
Wait,
Chelsea's
who's
brother.
the British guy from season 2?
The one who is hanging around with Portia.
And then she,
who gets fucked by his uncle?
Yes.
It's not really his uncle. He just
his uncle.
He gets a squeezer from his brother.
Well, that's more than a squeezer.
Wait, so he
would be Chelsea's brother, but only because they're British. And Chelsea goes, nothing would make me want to get with my brother. No drug, I could never get with my brother. Whatever.
Listen, we gotta end this whole just because they
yes,
have one
we
thing
do.
in common thing. Because all you people that were like Miss Huang is the daughter on Severance, it's like because there's 2 Asian characters on the show, one of them is clearly related to the other. That's some weird like internalized racism that you're like, hey, there's only one other Asian on this show. That must be her mom. Just because they're both British doesn't mean it's her brother. Also, it's not, Mike White isn't like, he's not doing a Lost thing where it's like, and their lives converged. Like, he didn't do that for the first 2 seasons. No one was related. It was just, we saw.
Just the hotels are related.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't think it's.
And so if one hotel gives the other hotel a squeezer.
Do you have a theory? A final theory?
A final theory?
Or final death theory?
I still think it's going to be Team Monkeys killing Chelsea.
Okay.
I think Chelsea's going to be the one to die.
Are a dead shot?
I think because, like, Chelsea has been so close to death a couple of times in the season. And it's been for the most dumb, random shit. She just, like, happens to be there.
A snake.
Right.
Involved in a robbery.
And so that makes me feel like
That's 2.
Yeah.
A snake and robbery. So
she's worried about the third.
Death twice, and she said bad things come in 3.
I mean, and obviously, like, every
like
single character on the season so far has been like, I could die tomorrow, and it's like, okay, we get it.
That's part of the
but I like
also,
Chelsea.
Maybe Saxon makes himself a poison fruit smoothie, leaves it on a counter.
Well,
Chelsea comes in and drinks it.
This is bad storytelling, but it would be a crazy ending if just like all of the characters ended up dying.
Yeah. I mean,
except for Belinda, Pornchai, and Mook.
Oh.
And there is like in the shootout, there is a sizable pause between the first gunshot and then the following one. I believe it could be that monkey kills Chelsea. Rick sees it. He freaks out. He's shooting at the monkey, and the body that's floating, that's just one of the brothers who drank the poison and floating along.
These are all great theories.
God, I can't wait to watch the
Evan
rest of this.
is out, we'll pull up the opening again and do some forensic
analysis.
analysis.
Yes. What haven't we seen? Because there is a tiger in that opening, and we have not seen a tiger yet.
Crazy.
Beautiful. Well, that's it for us today. Make sure to subscribe to the Breakroom channel right here on YouTube and give us a follow on Twitch where we do videos like this live. You can follow Breakroom and R on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and X. We'll catch you next time. Latest skaters. Goodbye.